Alright, good afternoon everybody. Welcome to another installation of Ascendant Spinfoil. This is your standard not safe for work warning. There is crude humor and foul language abound. That's just who we are and how we talk. We're here to talk about our favorite game, Destiny, the things we enjoy about it, the things we love about it, and as always, whatever crazy ideas we got coming towards us. For those that are with us in chat today, appreciate you coming out. Obviously, participation is whatever you feel like making it. So, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and kick this off. We're heading into our next season of Destiny. And we just want to take a few moments before all this kicks off to do a quick little perspective, prediction, things that we think might be coming our way. So I'd like to start this off with some of the big characters. Some we've heard from this season, some we haven't. Specifically Rasputin, Calus, and Saladin and the Cabal. Who wants to pick up on that one?
I got a lot to say about all of that.
I'll tell you what, let's pick one to start off with. How about that?
Alright, so let's jump right into the foreshadowing of Calus returning as a fucking emissary or agent of the fucking witness. How about that shit? Bro. And what about Leviathan? That's gonna mean Leviathan's coming back. Like,
yeah.
And we've talked about this before, but I want it on record. A fucked up Leviathan raid with like scorn and everything. Instead of gold and opulence, everything's all rotted and fucked up. And you know what I'm saying? It's like a haunted mansion. Yeah, it's gonna be fucking great. All right.
I hear you, Fierce.
I don't think we're gonna see Calus for another season.
I think it's too soon.
For the raid.
Yeah,
would be
that's what
next,
I'm saying.
Not next season, but the following.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a while before that comes. So do you think there will be any plot threads in next season?
I think we probably will see a little more build up with Calus going into next season. I'd be disappointed if we didn't. But I don't think he's going to make his grand appearance with the Leviathan until the season after.
Because I'm picturing like some Event Horizon shit. Because he's been gone off into some mysterious pocket dimension, right? And now he's back.
Dude, I would love it if they just like straight up stole that visual sequence from Event Horizon, where you just see the wormhole open up and all of a sudden the Leviathan comes rising up out of it. Oh my god.
The World Eater.
That movie was disturbing. I'd be really excited to take one and use the Destiny character. So imagine like a VR walkthrough of that game.
Well, that's the thing, because we had a little bit of setup on that with the Glycon.
Yeah, oh, and let's get right into the spoilery shit too, right? Because that's how this whole thing kind of started, right? So, it has been supposedly data mined. The name of next season is Season of the Haunted, right? What do you guys think about this?
I think it sounds exciting. It's totally my vibe. I love the whole horror genre anyway. And that
sounds like
aesthetic. Yep. People keep saying the moon, because the moon is haunted. So anyway. And also some other points about that is they have been slowly updating the music on the moon. So that was one clue. Some people on Twitter have pointed out there's an update to that, as well as some guy had the name of the season on his LinkedIn profile.
Under his work experience, like his past.
Yeah.
Well, I like the whole haunted thing because it can work on multiple levels. It's not just the nightmares that we dealt with the last time we were on the moon. It could be people dealing with the consequences of their past decisions.
Yep. Yep.
Just errors, for sure.
That might be too on the nose, though.
Crow is still beating himself up over what happened with Saladin.
Technically, Crow is haunted as well, so.
I mean, Crow is haunted by
Older.
who he used to be in the guise of Uldren Sov. He's haunted by trying to do the right thing, and Saladin paid the price for him.
Mm-hmm. And someone had pointed out there's a whole arc to the seasons, and the Haunted seems to fit in that arc. You know, season of Lost, season of Risen. Probably the other seasons.
So, I think that's all going to come to bear fruit. I think ultimately, though, to circle it back and put a bow on it, I think we're going to see more out of Calus's building, i.e. his forces, his actions, movements behind the scenes. But I don't think we're going to get a big reveal until the season after, because at this point, my prediction, Leviathan's coming back. That's going to be our returning raid. Not next season, but the season after.
Someone else made a strong point for another raid, a D1 raid actually. What was it? The Dreadnought, maybe?
Dreadnought could fit into with that.
Yeah, what's that? What was the raid called?
Oh, King's Fall.
King's Fall.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're seeing a lot of stuff from the original ideas of Destiny, like all the pre-production stuff they were dealing with before it all got chopped up and became D1. We're seeing a lot of that starting to bear fruit. I think we will go back to the Dreadnought eventually, but I think it's going to tie into Rasputin.
And he is on the horizon. For sure coming up soon, especially since Anna Bray brought him back to life. And we've been anticipating him being put in the EXO for quite some time.
Well, she hasn't brought him back to life yet. She just managed to save what was left of him.
That's true. That Lord of... who did I play this one to? My name is Bife, maybe? Was telling me about it.
Bife and Marin have both done videos on it, talking about how basically Anna and her ghost, after everything got crashed by the Shadow, they grabbed what was left of Rasputin's programming and put it into a pillory engram.
Well, somebody also talked about they used the technology from Idol Scion. They used the Mindscape, and what she saw was the what's it called? Valkyrie.
Yeah, she
spear.
saw a Valkyrie spear.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
how
I
we
do
know it's
remember
still alive.
catching that video. Well, don't get me wrong, in the lore that was good, a good thing, but we already had a pretty strong indication he was still there right before everything got started, because before it went away, Anna had a station set up on Mars with him, and you could see the readouts and everything from him.
Oh yeah.
But if they do manage to jam him into an EXO, he's going to be significantly diminished.
I think so. In the dark future, they do that. Of course, everything is fucked up there, but it is.
Well, I mean, I look at it in the sense of how much processing power and networking and just miles and miles and miles of cabling was involved in the Warmind project, and then try to jam all of that into an EXO and expect him to have the same command and control capacity.
How far apart were the times in which they were working? What was the capabilities of the technology when he was first created compared to now?
If I recall correctly, the Warmind project was going on at the same time as the EXO project.
That I didn't know.
Because Rasputin was built, if I recall correctly, by one of Anna Bray's sisters. Brains, you want to help me out on that one? I think one of her sisters, I should say, was responsible for trying to help him understand morality.
I don't remember. I know that one of the, I don't know if it was Elsie or one of the other ones that made the sword, right? This World Line is made from Vex Tech, and I know that's a Braytech weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I actually opened up something right here, but it's actually distracting me.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let's bench that discussion for the time being. We may have to come back and just do a whole discussion about Rasputin at some point, just to cover all the intricacies, because there's a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
That being said, I do think one of the things we're going to see next season is the Stronghold.
Nepheli Stronghold. You think that's next season,
Stronghold.
and Rasputin is next season? That's what you're saying?
That's what I'm thinking.
He
So
gets
for
a
those that
season
missed it-
every year. That's every year.
For those that missed it, because it was real easy to miss, when you do all the quests on Mars, the very last thing you get from the investigation board is a note.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly it was released by Rasputin during the Golden Age, not long before the collapse, and it references a location referenced only as Nepheli Stronghold, and deleting all records related to it. And the only reason they were able to find this is they went into one of the time rifts that's on Mars, and they found this message, which means that potentially the witness also has access to this information.
I definitely missed that.
Oh, I did too. I didn't even
I
know
just
about it till somebody
Didn't
brought it up.
understand what that word. I just didn't understand what all that meant at the time. Are we familiar with Nepheli?
Nepheli is a reference, at least what most people are assuming it's a reference to, is there was a Greek nymph, I believe it was, the goddess of clouds and air. So the running theory that everybody has is that Nepheli Stronghold is going to be not on a moon or anything like that, but inside one of the gas giants of Sol. Which opens up a lot of possibilities. That's what I'm thinking we're going to see next season. Is I think we're going to be bringing Rasputin back online. I think part of that is going to be once we get to the point where we can communicate with him, we all have to go to a ballet show at Nepheli Stronghold, wherever that is.
Well, what did he have us do the last time, right? We opened bunkers for him in one season.
Yep.
We
That was the last season, right?
Yeah, that was
so.
to get the Warsats online to stop the Almighty.
Okay, and then I know in year one we defended him from Zol.
Yep.
So I don't think that's going to be relevant. But okay, so we're going to have to help Anna do something, right?
Like I said, I think my money is on Nepheli Stronghold being like a emergency command and control node.
And that
Like
was
a-
like where she has the engram with him, right? What she could.
Right.
And then maybe Nepheli has some kind of fail-safe backup. Something
Right.
that can encompass a workable version of him.
That's what I'm thinking. And I think in the process of doing all of that, I think it's going to spread out between this season and next season. But what I'd like to see come out of that is delve a little bit deeper into how Savathun tricked the witness during the first collapse.
Oh man, yeah.
So if my theory is correct, and that Nefele Stronghold is some kind of fail-safe bunker for command and control with possibly a working backup of Rasputin's operational program. There could also be records there that help us reconstruct what happened during the collapse. And let's be honest, long term, you know, at some point we're going to reunite Amaru and Savathun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and probably I would be willing to bet towards the end of the year.
Just like the Witness is probably going to wake up what's her nut that we froze in ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my head, this is becoming like sort of a gathering of forces in preparation for the Witness. I think that we're going to see the Lucent Hive as allies, potentially, towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I think everybody's putting their pieces in place for the final throwdown because, like the Witness said, the Traveler has no more pieces left to play, which goes back into, I know I keep bringing this up, but I think it's the best one, the whole dead universe theory.
Yeah, and it's like this battle that has spanned millennia across, you know, all known solar systems that had life. But somehow all that has distilled here and now. And Sol, for whatever reason, is the battleground
Yeah,
for what's left. Because
My thing is, go ahead.
well, no, just in the clip at the end, you know, the campaign where they actually show the Witness for the first time, he kind of sounds like he's just tired of the Traveler shit. Like, all right, like he's been, you know, like they've been doing this, you know, they've been playing the flower game forever, essentially, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And now he's just like, okay, fuck the game. Like, I'm just gonna come and just be done with all of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, up to a certain point too. I mean, the Witness thought that he had already taken care of all this shit over here, and I still really very much would love to know what Savathun did in the collapse to trick the Witness.
Oh, big thing that we all overlooked, right? Or no, that's saying it wrong, but I'd like to remind everyone of something. Do you remember fucking, what, Shadowkeep? Right?
Uh-huh.
And supposedly we met the Witness. That wasn't the first time, but it just looked like us. Do you remember that whole scene?
Oh yeah, I remember
Was
that.
the Season of the Dawn?
I think it was Season of the Undying, because it was the
Undying,
season that
yeah.
Shadowkeep launched, I believe. And then the seasonal shit was like new, you know, the seasonal model, or at least something was new. Maybe the season pass or something.
We were on, what was it? Mercury?
No, that was year one, is when Mercury came around. Year
Yeah.
2 was Forsaken, and year 3 was Shadowkeep, and year 4 was Europa.
No, what?
Did I just have
Was
that
it-
backwards? No.
No, you're fine. Maybe it's, I'm thinking about, I always get Mercury mixed up with Nessus. sometimes.
Oh yeah.
That's just, now there's something that's been sitting on the back burner. We got a whole colony ship with a functional AI just hanging out.
Yeah, bro. What's up with failsafe?
I mean, don't get me wrong, that AI is probably clinically insane, but hell, when has that ever stopped us?
He was
Well-
entertaining at the very least.
Oh,
you know,
could you
that's
imagine
just
her in an
huge
Exo?
asset. You know, if we're consolidating our forces, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I just played one of the fucking whatever shit on the Throne World where you do like a memory fragment or whatever,
Yeah.
and then Savathun talks to you at the end. And the most recent one I just did, she was like talking about you know, the ability that the Witness has to take planets, right? This ability from the deep and put them in, you know, a pocket universe or whatever. And she's like, what do you think? What do you... And she was talking about how Mars came back, but she don't know anything about the Enclave, how it got there, what it is. And then she was like, what about your friends? You know?
Yeah, Asher Mir,
and Sloan. So they've been, if they're still alive, they've been inside whatever fucking crazy place that the Witness decided to stuff those planets.
What if he takes them? What if he's like, what if they become taken?
Bro, do you want them to be a villain? Because that
would be sick.
Asher Mir, it's pretty much established that he becomes a Vex.
A friendly harpy.
Well, the lore entry for him, he goes and basically goes down into the Infinite Forest through whatever dungeon that was. I can't remember what it was. Kills a whole bunch of Vex until they stop attacking him, and then they just kind of watch him like, what's this guy doing? Because he was trying to keep the darkness from gaining access to the Infinite Forest.
So in a sense, the Vex might recognize that, right?
And the last thing he did is he went all the way down, I think it was the Inverted Pyramid, and he found the Lake of Radiolarian and pulled it down on top of himself. Which canonically, exposure to untreated Radiolarian fluid turns you into a Vex. Asher Mir and his ghost, canonically, were slowly turning into Vex already.
That's weird. That's a strange thing to happen to organic material.
It's an infection.
Yeah.
Man, the Vex. So, aside from the Soul Divisive, they're just kind of their own thing apart from the Witness and the Traveler's machinations, right?
That's what I was about to point out. Like, what do they pick a side? You know, like, what do they care enough about us and their interest in us to...
The Vex are on the side of the Vex.
Yeah, I think
like,
their
interest.
Well, I think their attempts to duplicate our paracausal light was primarily curiosity, because they weren't able to do it, and that was unfathomable to them, right? So they're gonna try to, you know, they're gonna obsess about that at least a little bit.
Well, now they got the dark to obsess about.
I don't think, as far as the Vex are concerned, that you'll ever see like a true alliance or anything of that nature with the Vex. I think the best we're going to see is that we can keep them contained.
Well, yeah, I think they're meant to be a wild card because they have no end game, they have no agenda, hold on. They have no, like, it's almost like the Borg, right? Like, you can't question with them, there's no logic, there's no, like, diplomacy, there's no reasoning.
You will become one with the collective.
And that's it. Yeah. Well, I think what's going to happen is if the Vex get an upgrade like that, it won't be that they're given paracausal powers like the light or the dark or whatever, any subclass shit like that. I think what it is from what I understand canonically, right? What we've dealt with so far in the Vex they're like builder units. It's not even like military or like aggressive combat frames, like it's exploratory builders and shit like that. That's why you always see them trying to make like Vex gates and shit.
Yeah, because that's pretty much what the Vex do, is they find an area to spread to that has resources in whatever form. It may just be organic matter to consume to propagate more builders, you know?
Well, now we know a little bit more about them now, because they fucking, it's on record that they harvest stars, right? So maybe there's some kind of planetary material is necessary for their higher functioning or whatever.
True. I mean, it could be that there's something unique to planets that, you know, we don't know about that they need to make their higher end functions.
Well, what kills stars? Iron, right? And then there's I
Generally
think,
heavy metals.
yeah. Well, who knows?
Because, well, that's just a general astrological fact. Is
No.
that
What I mean by who knows is they're not. I was gonna ramble about carbon maybe, but they're not a carbon-based life form at all. So who's to say what element would be their most desired, right?
my best guess on the Vex is that they're a silica-based life form,
Hence the goo.
hence the goo. And the other reason I say silica is because the early universe was very mineral poor. It wasn't until stars started dying and going supernova that you started seeing, iron and things of that nature appearing.
So right, Vex. We're bound for a Vex season eventually, but so far there's been no real foreshadowing of any Vex, right? If you go about the activities, the seasonal psyops and the, Vex Obscura, they're talking about that Scion faction and about Calus, so that's an active thread. And then what else is an actual active thread? Crow, his whole shit.
Yeah.
So, in terms of active threads we've got going right now, we've got Crow, we've got Saladin, we've got the Splinter faction of Scions, we got Calus, and then also in the background right now, not currently active, we still have the Soul Divisive and Rasputin and Marasov. Because Marasov, we haven't heard shit out of her.
Except
so
that
far.
she's maintaining the mission or she's running the mission to occupy the pyramid and to keep it out of Scorn hands, a la Preservation, right?
Right, because the only thing we really did with her this season was the one mission to make the fetus yeetus.
All right, so let's get to some juicy shit here, because I know we just went down a rabbit hole a little bit. We're talking about hype for next season, right? So what the fuck is it gonna be? Is it gonna be Arc or Solar? My fucking god, please tell me when. I'm not gonna know till Tuesday, right?
I bet it's on Solar.
Okay,
It's
yeah, cast your bets. Let's hear it.
I'm
telling
leaning
you it's
Solar.
I'm leaning Solar as well.
There is in-game clues from Bungie that suggest it. It's not like it's just a wild guess. It is somewhat educated.
Do you have it? Can you recall any?
2 clues. First of all, when they rolled out this whole 3.0 thing, they spoke about it in order: Void, Solar, Arc. When their scripted video, that's how they talked about it. Solar was next in line.
Before Void even came out. Just
right.
saying.
Oh, it was as Void was rolling out. It was the videos before this year.
Okay.
And they were talking about all the exciting things coming. And now you could just write that off as so what they're saying. Okay, fine. Well, in game there's a ghost shell. Forget the ghost shell. You know what it is also. And it talks about the order Void, Solar, Arc. That shouldn't be a coincidence. But it says nothing else. It's just that on a ghost shell. Why would they do that? I could find the ghost shell and name it, but
Well, it could all be coincidence, but I am still leaning into Solar. That just reinforces. Right?
Like just 2 competing classes, people gotta choose what
yes.
what they want. I mean, Void 3.0 was nuts. You just saw Void explosions like all the time, everywhere. Don't even play with a different class that's going to be overtaken.
Well, things are going to equalize because Void 3.0, in my opinion, when it rolled out, was not as broken as Stasis was, but it was still pretty powerful. I think we're going to see the same thing with Solar, to where it's going to be pretty powerful, but it's not going to be busted. You're going to see a lot of people playing with it just because it's the new hotness.
Yeah, because Void 3.0 leveled the playing field for stasis. And the real, from what I've seen, Void is still going to be viable in the new sandbox too, right? Like whether it's Solar or Arc is the new jam, but Void's still going to be good, depending on what you're trying to do with it.
I just want to say I'm disappointed nobody picked up on that pun about Solar being the new hotness.
I wasn't gonna validate,
No.
even though it does have my seal of approval. I think Solar mainly because they're giving Xenophage a buff, Skyburner's Oath a buff. They're both inherently Solar. We've got Galley. I think we're just leading right into it.
Yeah.
One thing.
That's just my thoughts.
Oh, go ahead.
No, that was just my thoughts on it, really.
My baby's coming back.
Right? Imagine if they gave it a catalyst.
Well, Solar was the first subclass you got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like ever? Or historically, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But when I joined the game, Solar was the first thing I played through.
I seem to recall this.
Go in order.
Well, the other thing I'd like to see going in with Solar 3.0 is I would love to see them bring some of the more fringe lore into play with that. Like, I remember back in D1, it was a huge deal when Titans got their freaking hammers, and it was like, oh yeah, there's this fringe group of Titans called the Sunbreakers, and they've been run out of the tower and nobody has seen them in centuries, that kind of shit. It's like, yo, so what are those guys doing?
Yeah, what are those?
Well, supposedly Shiro is supposed to make an appearance. Well, his gun is coming back.
Shiro 4?
Yep. There was a leak on, I believe, a Japanese press release or a swab or some shit, and it had his exotic sidearm.
Well, there's been a lot of people hypothesizing that Shiro may be making a comeback to take over as the new Vanguard.
Yeah, it
That
would
would be exciting.
It would be to see the Vanguard like whole again. Not even as a hunter main for us to have a Vanguard again, but.
Well, that's one of the things that's kind of disappointed me, though, is in terms of in-game effects, the Vanguard being broken, the whole government for the tower is destroyed right now.
Yeah.
It's been so long since we've had a speaker, too, just saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
we haven't
yeah.
had a speaker since the Red War.
Shit. So that's D2 year one.
So it started there, and then all the factions are pretty much gone at this point.
Yeah.
The Vanguard is broken, but for like playing the game, it's like, whatever.
Well, in Witch Queen and the overlapping seasonal storyline, you did see, it seemed like the relationship between Zavala and Ikora faltered for a little bit, right?
It did.
But then, they made it clear that, they got their shit together by the end, and they smoothed shit over. But that might be, laying the seeds.
Well, that's the other part of it too. Is that's something that unless you follow the lore closely, we're prepping up for basically a battle for our entire freaking existence. And our leadership is completely and totally fractured.
Well, the Witness isn't the only one consolidating forces. So.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I don't know if you guys remember. Well, I'm sure you do. We all played the game, but when last time we saw Nocturus, there was the 4 different factions that were standing around the Dorito of Doom before they were coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was the Hive, the Cabal, right? The Doritos of Doom.
The Dorito.
But it was the Hive, the Cabal, I believe it was
Yeah.
us, and there was the Fallen. So
And there's
the
an
four of
empty
them
space.
standing around staring at the freaking Dorito of Doom. And like, what does that leave? We've already had a Scorn. I believe we're having a Vex. It'll be the next. I think the Vex are coming in the next one, personally.
So you think we're going to see a big push on the Soul Divisive again?
I maybe, but it's never just one anymore, right? Like we were dealing mostly with the Hive, but the Scorn were piggybacking, trying to freaking get in there in the Throne World, right? So I think really we're gonna have like the main and then the sub, right? And I'm not sure if like fuck, who could it be? Like I think we're due for a new race. I don't know what those frozen things were inside the last pyramid ship. Like before we head into the
They look
that
like
first
Krill
room.
to me.
They
Like
did.
the
They looked like
original
or they looked like a freaking. They looked like a combination between like Hive and Scorn. And I was just kind of like, what the fuck is that? I just wanted them to
Well-
thaw out so I could see.
If you look really closely, they all have a worm. Sonic and I did preservation. We were talking about it. And they look a lot like Krill.
Yeah, well, that's so I think the lore says it. They were doing experiments combining worms with Scorn. That's what the caretaker is.
Oh, okay.
Of course, we may have put a big wrinkle on that because we killed the mother of the worm gods.
Yep.
Interesting.
We're gonna give Vex worms.
Dude. That's a wormhole
That-
I'm not going down.
That would be an interesting. Pardon me. That would be an interesting conundrum to see what happens. That's kind of an unstoppable force meets an immovable object type thing. A worm versus Radiolarian.
Mm.
Oh.
You know, there's just so much different things, though, that are brought up in the lore that never fully fleshed out in the game. So I think it would just be fun to go, you know, take a look at, like, the gates to hell that the Paladins had locked away from a Golden Age space station.
I'm still waiting to see Siva make a comeback. I think it might be piggybacked in the next Rasputin narrative.
God, can you imagine Siva getting mixed up with Radiolaria?
Well, I was still thinking that like the frozen red shit in Europa was their answer to Siva out of control, but
I think that's lava.
I don't know. I'm just
I'm
speculating.
pretty sure it's lava under the surface. I read somewhere.
There's something
You know,
like
as
that, I
much-
guess, like thermal vents or something.
Yeah.
As much as everybody goes on about Siva, though, I don't think we're going to see Siva make a big comeback.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
I was
Myth-
hoping it was going to get a subclass. Same with that. What is it? The
Stasis?
no. I thought we were going to get more darkness subclasses, like one being Siva
Decay.
and Decay, right? Like I was hoping for Decay. That sounds like fun. But
Taken subclass would have been more likely if we were going the darkness.
Well, the funny thing is, I don't think Bungie ever actually said they were going to give us any more darkness subclasses. Everybody
No.
just started running with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they had to clarify that they weren't.
yeah. I think they let it play out a little bit for, for buzz, but they did eventually come out and say, no. But they, on the heels of that, that's when they were like, yeah, but we're going to rework all your light subclasses first. So
Yeah,
new
and-
darkness shit is on the table, but they want to fix all the old shit first, much like, the DCV and their spaghetti code.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, stasis can't be the end all be all of the freaking Lightfall. That's just my thought on it.
Well, by the next expansion, which is what, Lightfall, right? They said they're gonna do a 3.0 every season. So by the next big expansion, all the light subclasses will be caught up.
Right. Now, the thing they do got to be careful about, though, is too many options can be potentially bad for the game as well. The more subclasses and such they put into the game, and the more different abilities they put in, the more they have to build around those for new content. So, don't get me wrong, I'm all about more choices and more toys. I'm also enough of a realist to understand, though, that everything has a cost.
This might be a tad off course, but has anybody noticed that the witness is not in the neutral lore?
Well, Eris Morn becomes an agent of the darkness.
Oh,
Right.
So does that mean she becomes a disciple,
Well,
or
that would be
or does
so
she,
sad.
or does
or
she supersede the witness herself?
what if she kills the witness?
Right?
I think that would be interesting. I mean, she's on the forefront of all things darkness. She's the darkness expert.
Always has been.
Well, her and freaking Drifter at this point.
Which, yep. I just want to throw this out there. I ship them so hard.
Eris, Drifter, Zavala, and Kylo are gonna have another one.
Double wedding.
Yeah.
I'm still
Zavala
trying to
boner
figure
go
out how the fuck
brrrr.
Elsie got her hands on that ship and that ghost. That looks like frickin' Dorito and Doom Tech.
Could be. It could be that that's possibly one of the things that could tip the scale one way or the other. Maybe Elsie grabs some pyramid tech in her obsession to restore Rasputin.
Ooh. Interesting.
How that would be interesting. I'm gonna get you a job at Bungie.
They wouldn't put up with my shit.
He'd just be in there throwing hammers, fucking Titan.
So we've talked about some theories about the new raid, right? So when, we've talked about maybe it's Leviathan coming back, or maybe it's going to be fucking Wrath of the Machine. Maybe the Taken King is too much on the nose. Maybe that's true. But what do you think about the new dungeon, right? I hope so bad it's a Europa dungeon.
Yes, I heard it was gonna be in the Vex portal from Glasslight.
What?
That would be so awesome.
That would be some.
Like-
Oh
like
man, if we
we
go
go
to the
through it.
fucking. Oh man, yeah, because that's the whole point of the Glassway, right? Is Clovis
Yeah.
Ray had opened a gate, and that's what first brought the Vex here to Sol, and but there's a somewhat of a record of what he saw over there on the other side, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he talks
honestly,
about it in his journal. That's where he's talking about the Vex are basically keeping a sun from going nova, a star that should have died out long ago, by removing metals from it and feeding it hydrogen, basically.
I mean, we're due a Vex dungeon. There's never been one. Right?
Oh man, that would be some
Something's trying to
cool
come through,
shit,
or-
man. I didn't even
Yeah,
think
that
of
would be
that.
hotness coming through.
I was picturing like a Clovis Bray facility, but man, some kind of parallel universe with the fucking Vex, or no, not even parallel
Well,
universe, but
Yeah,
just
it
a
would just-
gateway to. I don't know.
what I would envision that as is we would wind up somewhere in the galactic core.
Yeah, I want to see what their end of the shit looks like.
Well, when you're that far away, space and time behave differently, right? So in a sense, we would be going back in time if it's that far away.
Now, did they say we're only getting one dungeon next season?
Yes, just one.
Yeah, but I think what the season after we get a raid, right? Or raid
Yeah.
and dungeon.
No, and the next season's a raid, and the following season, I think it's
Another
every other-
dungeon. Something like
Well,
that, yeah.
that kind of throws a wrench into my works, because I was thinking that Nephele stronghold could be a dungeon.
We're going back to the haunted forest all season.
Ugh.
I'm just kidding.
The infinite
Sorry.
forest.
Well, yeah.
Delete my
I
account.
love that shit.
But if the darkness is in possession of Mercury, doesn't that mean they're in possession of the infinite forest?
Not necessarily. They're just means they're in possession of a gateway.
So, you know how you were talking about a little while ago, how you were talking about Altar of Reflection Brain and how she says, like, you know, she took Mars and Mercury and all that. So there's two different ones. There's one, she says this is the truth in both of them. In the first one, she says that she took it to protect them. In another one, she says the witness gave them back because he was done with it.
Yeah.
What does everybody think about that?
That was her two truths and a lie thing, wasn't it? And that was like, you had to figure it out which was which.
No, that was different because she was naming off different facts or non-facts, like the witness took Mars, I took Mars, the Guardians will get the power to move worlds, blah, blah. It was a little bit different than the one I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's a crazy idea. Just hear me out. What if the reason we survived the collapse is because Savathun put us into a pocket dimension?
I mean, that's the reason that we have the collapse. Isn't that revealed? I think it's revealed very strongly.
That was alluded to. Is that the witness got tricked. So, like some Doctor Who level shit, how do you trick a paracausal entity into thinking that it destroyed something?
Yeah, pocket
You
universe
move
would
it.
make sense.
So what if we're still in there?
Well, I mean, Savathun did call the Traveler her old friend. And I was confused on when she had Adelaide.
I thought that was a sarcastic thing. I've been looking for you a long time, old friend.
Well,
But didn't...
the Hive have been chasing the Traveler across the universe for a long time.
So maybe...
Yeah, because... Like on Fundament, they thought the Traveler was another moon, right? Like they didn't know he even existed at that point. They didn't know until, they found Chaos hiding with fucking homeboys there. I forget their name.
Well, they found the Traveler in orbit around Fundament because one of the first things the Hive did after they built their power was they invaded and eradicated the life on the surrounding moons of Fundament. One of those species, the Traveler, was there. And then they followed the Traveler across space, wiping out civilizations as they went. So Savathun and the Traveler have been playing a little cat and mouse game for literally millennia. It's like when Kirk and Khan meet each other, you know, and Khan's like an old friend.
My question is, what are the Witness and the Traveler? Is there something in the Traveler, or at least the Traveler the being itself? Why is it everything to be organic? And what the fuck is the Traveler? Not Traveler, the Witness.
He's a godly golf ball. I got lost. I don't know.
So there is no firm answer to your question. The best way I could phrase it is that the two entities chose how they would exist within this reality when the rules were defined, similar to when Marasov set the rules for the distributary. And I can only think that it would be the Traveler wanted to let chaos life flourish in all of its possible forms and fashions, and so did not need a direct way to talk or interface with people. It's pretty much like, hey, here's all this shit, go do your thing. Whereas the Witness's approach was, I want to build the ultimate life form, the final shape.
We are the
So-
final shape.
Which is
So
interesting.
the witness took a form where it could interact and interface with life.
It's very fluid.
That's just
too.
a guess.
And the Traveler is very solid. They're opposites in basically every respect.
I think the nature of the darkness is amorphous, and that it chose to take that form, and even in that form, it still didn't have any kind of permanence. You know what I mean? Because I'd have to replay the clip, but I think you kind of see him coalesce a little bit before he
Yeah.
is fully visible, right?
Yeah, you like
Yes.
a really
it's
strange
like-
movement.
It's like smoke gathering together,
Yeah.
or oil.
So, well, Traveler hasn't spoken even to us in a while, right? Not since the Tree of Silver Wings, I think.
Tree of Silver Wings is a whole separate animal than what, and that's another little tidbit that's hanging out there that we still got to pull the thread on because we still don't fully understand that thing.
Yeah, no fucking too.
And Io is in the little pocket, whatever the hell.
You know, the Tree of Silver Wings has been referenced ever since D1. So,
Well, the pyramids were referenced in fucking the opening campaign of D2. It's overlooked often.
so I think Tree of Silver Wings would be a thread that is probably going to come back, but I don't think we're really going to see that come into play until next expansion.
Until Io comes back. I think that'll be relevant as to why Io is back or something. But we're getting ahead of this. Getting a little far ahead here.
We have talked about all of our subjects except for the weapon crafting.
Well, the weapon crafting, I was really going to include that more as the retrospective that we're going to do a little bit later.
Yeah. That would
That's
be a
so-
great idea.
We're getting hyped for next season. Machine guns are going to be big. The seasonal
Oh, yeah,
artifact
bro.
weapon is going to be a machine gun.
Oh, what?
Yep. Like the seasonal drop or whatever. Yeah, that's going to be a machine gun.
Oh, not the artifact. You mean the seasonal weapon?
Right. The not the artifact. The season pass. The season pass weapon is going to be a machine gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else was there? What were we just talking about? Because it was relevant.
Machine guns next season.
Oh, the artifact. Yes. So as the cross let slip that the artifact is going to have trace rifle mods.
Oh.
He just put that video out like today or yesterday or some shit. I watched it today. And he said it real quick and on the fly. He was talking about all the changes upcoming next season. And it's not written down anywhere, but he was like talking about how, you know, Cold Heart's getting buffed and Wave Splitter's getting buffed, Prometheus Lens is getting buffed. And right at the end he was like, and they're also going to have artifact mods. And then immediately cut to the next topic. So there's, well, those trace rifle buffs and those exotic glaive buffs are going to open up a whole new fucking set of play toys.
Yep.
Oh, I don't disagree. I was just going to say, I don't think he let it slip. I think that may have been a controlled corporate leak. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100% I think it was. There's a
Maybe
theory
crumbling under the pressure.
that dude's leak on his LinkedIn page, he actually works for them in a PR capacity. So there's a theory that was intentional too, and that's their way of slowly dripping information, right? Just to easing the steam out of the kettle a little bit.
Well, if you think about it, that's something that Bungie has a long history of doing, is putting little puzzles and hideys in the game for players to pore over. All the way back to a hidden message on Rasputin's housing that eventually led to that geocache.
So, what else next season? We got machine guns, we got the glaive buff, we got the exotic trace rifle buff.
Well, I'm excited they're going to buff scoring crossbows because they feel underpowered.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'm so glad that's not happening.
Proving grounds, what? The first
Well,
Grandmaster?
I mean, how much worse can you get than one shot?
Splash damage,
Just
one
you
shot.
wait. Next, we're already there. No,
I know.
if you get hit, if you get a direct hit with the scoring crossbow, it's just going to uninstall your character.
Seriously.
You have to pick a new Bungie name.
But no, I think that's about it in turn. I mean, I was hoping that by the time we did this, that we'd have a video, a trailer, something to play with. But
Yeah, they're being
They're
real quiet.
Which is really
Yeah.
weird because they're not usually this quiet.
Yeah. Even if it's like a
feel like
minute 30
Knocker is-
little.
Even like a 5-second teaser.
I feel like
No.
Nokris is gonna frickin' resurrect Oryx and frickin' shit's gonna go down. Or
Now the
Dreadnought's coming back.
Travelers. Savathun's gonna be like, yo, can you do me a quick favor, bro?
You're right.
I need a distraction.
So there's
Well,
a lot
they're
of
probably-
buzz that Eris is going to be one of the primary characters of the seasonal story. So what's
Oh,
the
that'd
last
be
we
good.
heard of her? Like, what was she doing last? Because I can't remember. Because, I mean, we talked about her shit during Shadowkeep,
Being
but
haunted.
she's been around since then doing stuff, right?
she was looking dummy thick in them robes.
We saw her on Mars, did we not?
I wonder what other
Um,
body part she's gonna put on from the frickin' hive.
I think she had a little bit of a voiceover on Mars, basically talking about the rifts in time. But the last time I think we actually, like, no shit, had any interface, face-to-face time with her was Europa. When she was helping us out with all the stasis quests and everything. That's the other thing too, is the stranger is still floating around out there too.
Yeah. I would just like to say that Adagio on Crate is not terrible.
Oh, how much time do we have left? It's been a minute, has it not?
You're the one running the show here. I'm not sure what your record time is at.
Oh, it's about to
But-
end.
Well, it sounds like we're scraping the bottom of the barrel now, so let's just go ahead and put a cap on this one.
All right.
So, thanks everybody for coming out. I hope it was as fun for you guys as it was for me. I look forward to the next time we all get a chance to get together and do one of these. Next one should be our retrospective for Witch Queen. And I hope everybody had fun talking about what they thought might be coming for Season of the Redacted.
Haunted. Season of the Haunted.
Season of the Pterodactyl.
Season of the Moon's Haunted.
Always has been.
Always will be. Yeah, we're never getting the hive out of the moon, man.
No.
Yeah.
I want to
think
see
it
him
goes.
turn it into a war moon. I want to see that.
Bro, with Divu, because Divu's coming.
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh, that is.
Forgot about Zivu. What if that's possible?
They've been there a long time. It's all burrowed up. I'm surprised you don't like step on the ground and cave into the tunnels.
Oh, isn't Zivu a Wrath running around still?
Yeah, she's
Oh,
coming.
she is. Her and
Oh.
Kyle have been having little fucking ship-to-ship warfare going on in the solar system already.
All right, well, we're going to probably do another one early into the beginning of the season, and because I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about then. But we'll do a retrospective of the last season first,